Shedeur is QB3 for the Browns. Does anybody here think he should be QB1 this week starting? Anybody? Skip?
I'll go. I definitely think he should start this weekend because if he did, that team would be electrified by him. Because Njoku and Judy showed you through training camp, they love this kid because he's special. He got raised by the athlete I think was the greatest athlete in the history of sports. It's in his bloodlines. He was raised around stars to be a star in the National Football League. I said, again, a first guess, before last college football season, he should be the first overall pick. My friend Mel Kiper, who's been doing this for a long time, had him ranked above Cam Ward as the best quarterback in the draft. He fell to fifth because the league wanted to punish him and his father because they don't act the right way for this league. That's not how you do things at this level in this league.
And that's where the entire arena exploded. Because what we're seeing in Cleveland right now isn't just a quarterback debate. It's a battle of politics, egos, and legacy. Shedeur Sanders, the son of arguably the greatest athlete we've ever seen, is already being boxed in as QB3. QB3, when in reality, this man should be electrifying the Browns' offense as the starter this week. Think about it. Njoku, Jerry Jeudy, guys in that locker room, they already love him. They see his energy. They see that special spark. And yet, because of draft politics and because of the so-called business of the NFL, the Browns are holding him back. This isn't about talent, this is about punishment. Punishment for being a Sanders. Punishment because his father Dion doesn't play the game the way the league wants. Now, let's not get it twisted. This isn't some random late-round rookie we're talking about. Before last college season, experts were calling Shedeur Sanders the first overall pick. Even Mel Kiper himself had him ranked higher than Cam Ward, calling him the best quarterback in the draft. So how does a guy with those grades fall all the way to the 5th round? Simple. The league wanted to send a message. And Cleveland? They just might have pulled off the biggest draft steal of the century. But here's the controversy. Gabriel is the guy the front office loves. And Joe Flacco? The veteran who got off his couch last year and somehow turned it into a comeback player of the year story. Head coach Kevin Stefanski has his loyalty to those guys. And you know what that means? Shedeur is being sabotaged. He's not being given a fair chance. You saw it in the preseason. When he started with the 1s and some 2s, he lit it up. That's what he does. But then they threw him into the fire with 3rd stringers who won't even make the team, and suddenly people act like he's not ready. Come on now. That wasn't about evaluation, that was about setting him up to fail. And let's talk toughness. Because anyone who watched Shedeur at Colorado knows, this man took beatings week after week, and he got right back up and kept firing. He's not just talented, he's resilient. And if there's any quarterback built for the storm of Cleveland football, it's him. But of course, we have the other side. The people who say, why rush him? Why throw him into the fire when Joe Flacco can take the beating for him? And listen, that argument sounds safe. It sounds logical. But let's be real, it's the Browns. Since when has safe ever worked for Cleveland football? You don't draft a Sanders to sit. You draft a Sanders to play. Now let me ask you, the fans, do you think Shedeur Sanders is being unfairly benched because of his last name? Or do you think it's the right move to keep him behind Joe Flacco for now? But let's break it down even further. Joe Flacco is 39 years old. This is a guy who had an amazing run back in Baltimore, and yes, he got hot last year and carried Cleveland into the playoffs. But does anybody really believe Joe Flacco is the future? Absolutely not. He's a stopgap, a bridge quarterback, and the Browns know it. Then there's Gabriel, the rookie from Oklahoma. Solid? Sure. Efficient? Yeah. But is he more talented than Shedeur Sanders? Not even close. And if we're being real, the only reason he's being pushed as QB2 is because the Browns invested a 3rd-round pick in him. If Shedeur outperforms him, the front office looks foolish. That's what this is really about, saving face. This is where ego meets football. And when egos run the show, talent gets buried. Now let's talk about Shedeur's so-called flaws. Critics say he holds onto the ball too long, that he's not diagnosing defenses quick enough. And yes, In that third preseason game, there were moments where he had open guys and didn't pull the trigger fast enough. But let's not act like this is unique to Shedeur Sanders. Every young quarterback goes through that. Peyton Manning threw 28 interceptions as a rookie. Josh Allen was a mess his first year. Hell, Zach Wilson was the second overall pick because of his arm talent, and he couldn't think his way out of a paper bag. The difference is, Shedeur Sanders has the poise, accuracy, and toughness to grow out of those mistakes. And unlike some of these guys, he has that it factor. That aura. When Shedeur walks into a room, you know he's the quarterback. When he takes the field, you know he's the leader. So I'll ask you again, Cleveland fans, are you really willing to let politics keep this man off the field? Or do you want the quarterback who can actually change the energy of this city?
What? When have they been good? When was the last time they were relevant or good?
2023 shit, Flacco took them to the playoffs. Hey, if you win the tournament, I feel like you're relevant.
Is Flacco going to be there next year?
Hell yeah.
I think he will be.
So you're going to, that's your future?
It's not the future.
Okay, so if that's not the future, why the fuck do I give a fuck if he's starting or not? He's not part of what I'm trying to build, so why am I going to even waste the time putting him out there?
Because if you put a young guy out there, you can break who he is mentally. If you put
then he's not ready then.
That's why you don't start him.
What I'm saying is if he's mentally not ready, then he's mentally not ready. It's no different.
I think you hit it.
I got to throw you in the ocean, or you're going to swim or not. You sitting there just watching and watching and watching doesn't build character. You getting hit and you're failing and recovering. That's what it is. Like with him, starting or not. This year, him getting picked in the 5th round, you saying he should start, it's built for him to fail. Because if he ends up winning the starting position, it tells you that their 3rd round quarterback pick was a stupid pick, which no one should be surprised because all their quarterback picks for the last fucking 40 years has been stupid, right? So, but it makes them feel like they got the wrong guy because then you're questioning, why didn't you pick him earlier? So they do not want him to start. They hoping he fails. So the process in order. He's 5th if he...
Now let that sink in. They are actively suppressing their most talented quarterback because it might make them look bad. That's not football, that's politics. And this is where the debate gets fiery. Some guys say, don't throw him into the ocean until he's ready to swim. Others say, the only way you learn to swim is by being thrown into the deep end. Which side are you on? Because history shows us both paths. Jameis Winston, Marcus Mariota, Josh Freeman, they started too early, and it broke them mentally. On the other side, Patrick Mahomes sat for a year behind Alex Smith, and it made him a superstar when his time came. So which road is right for Shedeur? Here's the difference. None of those guys were Shedeur Sanders. None of those guys had the DNA of greatness bred into them. None of those guys were raised around stars, taught by Deion Sanders himself how to handle pressure, media, and expectations. This isn't just any rookie. This is Shedeur Sanders. And that last name comes with weight. Do you think Shedeur is being judged more harshly because his name is Sanders? If he were Shedeur Johnson, a 5th round pick with the same talent, would we even be having this debate? See, that's the double standard here. People say, we don't care about his last name. But then why did he fall to the 5th round? Why did 32 owners pass on a quarterback Mel Kiper called the best in the draft? Why is he treated differently than Caleb Williams, CJ Stroud, or Jaden Daniels, who all got the chance to start from day one? Because this league doesn't want to empower the Sanders brand. That's the truth. They didn't want Deion rewriting the NFL like he did at Colorado. They didn't want Shedeur to come in and succeed right away, because that makes all the old guard uncomfortable. But here's the kicker. No matter how much they try to hold him back, talent rises. You can't keep a real one buried forever. And Shedeur Sanders? He's going to get his shot. The only question is, will Cleveland give it to him before it's too late? The Browns don't have a quarterback controversy, they have a quarterback cover-up. And that's where things get really dangerous for Cleveland. Because when the locker room starts to sense politics are keeping the best player off the field, divisions form. Players lose trust in coaches. Chemistry cracks. And once you lose the locker room, the season spirals. Now let's pause and ask, how How long can Joe Flacco really hold this thing together? Is Dillon Gabriel truly the guy to lead this franchise? Or is the future already sitting on that bench, wearing number 14, waiting for his moment? Now let's talk about the city of Cleveland. This is a place starving for a quarterback who can not only win but inspire. The Dog Pound doesn't just want victories, they want swagger. They want a leader who brings hope every time he steps onto the field. And with all due respect to Joe Flacco, with all due respect to Dillon Gabriel, neither of those men carry the cultural weight, the charisma, or the presence of Shedeur Sanders. This city has been through heartbreak for decades. From the drive, to the fumble, to all the quarterback busts in between, Cleveland has been cursed with disappointment. But every once in a while, the NFL gives you a miracle. And maybe, just maybe, the miracle isn't in the guy everybody expects. It's in the one they're trying to hide. Because you can feel it, can't you? There's a tension building in that locker room. Guys like Jeudy and Njoku are saying the right things publicly, but behind closed doors, they know who gives them the best chance. And when those players start whispering, when those veterans start saying, "Hey coach, we want 14 under center," it becomes impossible to ignore. The problem? Kevin Stefanski doesn't want to let go of control. This is a coach who has always believed in systems over stars. That's his philosophy. He doesn't want a quarterback who freelances, who plays with swagger, who changes the game plan with audibles. He wants structure. He wants control. But Shedeur Sanders doesn't play football to fit into a system. He plays football to bend the system to his will. And that terrifies coaches like Stefanski. So what happens next? What if Flacco starts to crumble by week 4? What if Gabriel can't handle the lights? You think that crowd in Cleveland is going to sit quietly while Shedeur Sanders is holding a clipboard? Absolutely not. That stadium will erupt with chants of, "We want Shedeur." And when the fans turn, the ownership turns. And once ownership turns, Stefanski won't have a choice. And let me tell you something. Once Shedeur Sanders touches that field, there is no going back. Because you can't unsee greatness. Now, let's take a step back. What does Shedeur bring that Flacco and Gabriel don't? Accuracy. Pocket presence. That calmness under fire. But more than that, it's the intangibles. He's marketable. He's magnetic. He brings eyeballs. Do you know how many people would suddenly be watching Cleveland Browns games if Shedeur Sanders became the starter? This isn't just football, this is business. The Browns could become must-see TV overnight. That's not hyperbole, that's reality. Because Shedeur isn't just a quarterback, he's a brand. And the NFL may hate that, but the fans love it. Now, let's address the critics one more time. They'll say, "He's not ready." They'll say, "He needs to sit for a year." But let's be honest, that's fear talking. That's front office executives afraid of being proven wrong. That's analysts who doubted him trying to save face. But the truth is, Shedeur Sanders has been ready. He's been ready since Colorado. He's been ready since high school. He's been preparing for this moment his whole life. And when you're raised by Deion Sanders, you don't wait your turn, you create your turn. And think about the story. Imagine this, a 5th-round pick buried as QB3, breaking through the politics, overcoming the doubt, and leading the Cleveland Browns to glory. That's not just a good NFL story, that's a movie. That's a legacy. That's the kind of story this league pretends it loves, but only when it fits their narrative. When it's a Sanders, suddenly the narrative changes. Suddenly, the critics move the goalposts. But that's what makes this so compelling. Because Shedeur isn't supposed to win. He's supposed to fail. That's what the league wants. That's what the haters want. But every time people doubt him, he proves them wrong. And I want to be clear, the Browns can either ride this wave with him, or they can get swallowed by it. Because once Shedeur gets his shot, once he puts that arm on display, once he commands that huddle, it's over. You'll forget about Dillon Gabriel. You'll forget about Joe Flacco. The entire conversation will shift to one thing: how far can Shedeur take us? And that's when Cleveland, a city desperate for a hero, will finally have one. So let's not mince words here. This isn't just about football. This is about fairness. This is about whether a young man is given the opportunity he deserves, or whether politics and egos rob us of greatness. And if the Browns continue to hold Shedeur back, not only are they hurting their own future, they're robbing the fans of the show they deserve. Because like I said before, you don't draft a Sanders to sit. You draft a Sanders to play. Now let's close with this thought. Picture it, Week 8, Monday Night Football, Browns down 3 with 2 minutes left. Flacco's hurt. Gabriel's rattled. And finally, Stefanski turns to Shedeur Sanders. He puts the helmet on. The crowd roars. And he walks onto that field with everything on his shoulders. What do you think happens next? I'll tell you what happens. He does what he's always done. He delivers. And in that moment, the entire NFL will realize what they missed. Because Shedeur Sanders isn't a QB3. He isn't a QB2. He's a QB1. And the sooner the Cleveland Browns realize that, the sooner they'll stop sabotaging themselves. The question isn't if Shedeur will take over in Cleveland, it's when. And when that day comes, the NFL better be ready. So to every Browns fan, to every Shedeur supporter, and to every critic, remember this. You can bury talent, but you can't kill greatness. And Shedeur Sanders? He's greatness. And when that greatness finally hits the field, Cleveland will never be the same again. If you believe Shedeur Sanders deserves his shot, hit that like button, subscribe to Gridiron Insights and smash that bell icon to join us every day as we expose the truth, break down the drama, and bring you the real stories the NFL doesn't want you to hear.